trying this again because I feel like you guys need some more support with the introductions, and I totally get that. So I am just going to quickly go through kind of my thinking for how I'm coming up with my ideas, and then I'll write an introductory paragraph and show you, okay, and kind of write with you. All right, so I have a couple of ideas that I'm, working with here. One is in The Most Dangerous Game, Richard Connell challenges the reader, or maybe illustrates that the difference between socially acceptable violence and murder. So that's something I've been thinking about. Another idea is in The Most Dangerous Game, Richard Connell uses imagery to illustrate things are not always as they appear, or maybe to show no matter what, whether you're perceiving something or whether you're in a civilized or in a uncivilized situation, things can be dangerous. So I was thinking I have a couple of ideas for that. So when I'm thinking about if it is worth writing about, or if there's enough there, I just get a couple of ideas. So let's see, for the imagery one, let's see, Connell uses light when Rainsford first sees the house. You can see that. It sees Zaroff's chateau. It's like illuminated, and Rainsford thinks this will lead them to so much safety. I also know there's a lot of imagery there that contrasts with that. So this would be a good example of how the writer uses imagery to kind of let the reader know that things aren't so great, but that the character, that Rainsford, doesn't really know. He just sees the light. He's like, oh, awesome. Okay, another idea was when Zaroff uses light. Okay, so now why isn't this moving? Hold on, my camera. Got quite a little get up here. Okay, good. So Zaroff uses channel lights, to lure the sailors in, and usually channel lights indicate safety. So I thought that was a good example. And also when Rainsford hears the sea, he's super excited, right? When he's just fallen over, he's like, oh, it's the best sound I've heard. And then we know, because the writer uses imagery to show us, the reader, that this is not so good, but he's just happy that he feels like he's going to be safe. Okay, so that's an example. So I might do that. I kind of like that now that I've said all my evidence. This one, between socially acceptable and not so socially acceptable murder. My ideas are, of course, I've mixed up my little piles, so you'll just have to be patient for a second. I try and go from the beginning to the end. Okay, so let's see. We've got some acceptable violence here, that at the beginning, Rainsford and Whitney talk about the sport of hunting. And in the middle, Rainsford is super judgy about Zaroff hunting humans because that's not acceptable. And then at the end, of course, Rainsford kills Zaroff. So would that be considered acceptable because he's defending himself? So that's kind of an interesting idea that I'm playing with. Okay. And then lastly, I've got that he is showing us that to be truly civilized, one must have compassion and empathy rather than all the stuff, like all the trappings that go along with being considered wealthy. I mean, you can be wealthy, you can have a really good education, but if you don't have empathy and compassion, then are you truly civilized? So lots of examples of that. He has no empathy for the animals, and then we learn about Zaroff and all his fancy stuff. And then in the end, Rainsford, was he ever really civilized? That's something I could write about. So I'm going to pause and do a little thinking and then show you my next steps. Okay, so I'm just gonna try a few and see what you think. Okay, so I'm gonna start with this one about in the most dangerous game, how he challenges the reader, like what's acceptable. So I could even start with something like, I want you to be able to see my writing without me crashing something like, I'm gonna turn this a little, I've got quite a little setup here so that I don't break my phone. Okay, so I might say something like, violence is a part, remember this is my rough draft, of human nature. Some violence is essential for our survival, but when does this violence cross the line? I don't know, I'll leave it there for now. Okay, so there's my little lead, okay? So I'm gonna go to another color so you can see. So I might say in the short story, The Most Dangerous Game, notice my comma comes before the quotation mark. I'm just going to put RC for now, but we know that it's Richard Connell. And there I'm going to put my, so then I know I was going to go right to my thesis, but now I'm like, that's not right. I'm going to need my summary. Sorry, my thing froze again. I've got like a tower to make this document camera. Okay, so I know I can't go right. Well, you could put your thesis there, but I'm not going to. Okay, so I've got, let's see, I've got my genre, my short story. Not yet. I've got a little lead in. Sometimes it can just start right away with the title and author, like we've been doing. And there's the title. Okay, so that's what I have so far. I know I need my summary and I know I need my thesis. Okay, so I'm going to pause so you don't have to watch, and I'll start again. Okay, I'm back. I got a little work done. So this is what I'm going to show you. All right, so I showed you before this crazy little thing I have here. That I could start like this. Violence is a part of human nature. Some violence is essential for our survival. Violence, when does it cross the line? But I'm also going to look at my mentor text, okay, that we looked at in class today, even though it was a little hectic, where this writer just starts, okay, Gate A4 by Naomi Shihab tells the story of a woman, and then she goes right to the summary. I think I'm going to just do that. Okay, so I have two different thesis statements that I worked with. And the first one, so here's my summary, and you can see that it's kind of long. So I might do something else with that, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so I'm going to have to fold it. Okay, so the reason I wrote two different introduction or summaries is because I want it to support my thesis, okay? So if my thesis is, regardless of wealth or education, without these two essential components of empathy and compassion, one is the equivalent of a savage animal, I need to work with a summary that's going to support that, okay? So I'm just going to start just like our mentor text did. So in his short story, I've got Richard Connell, I've got the title, And I've lost my sticky note, but there's the genre. Tells the story of a world-renowned hunter named Sanger Rainsford, okay? As he travels down the Amazon River on his way to hunt jaguar, he falls off his yacht, finding himself stranded in the blunt, warm waters of the Caribbean. He swims to shore where he meets General Zaroff, who's also an accomplished hunter. Rainsford notes that Zaroff has the face of a man used to giving orders, the face of an aristocrat. I know I've got to check my formatting there. But that's a quote right from the book, so I know I need to cite it. But it's supporting my idea already that no matter how fancy schmancy you look, you can still be not so awesome. So Rainsford also notes Zaroff's elegant home and fine clothing. Okay, so this again is going to my thesis. It's part of my summary. It's angled to my thesis. Although Zaroff attempts to preserve the amenities of civilization, okay, I need to also cite that, while living on this remote island, he in fact lives the life of a savage. Rainsford learns that the general, bored with hunting animals, discovers a more challenging quarry, one that has courage, cunning, and above all, the ability to reason. So I need to put page number. Zaroff traps and hunts sailors, who he refers to as the scum of the earth. In showing that Zaroff has the outer appearance of being an aristocrat, while belying the heart of a savage, Connell illustrates that to be truly civilized, one needs empathy and compassion. Regardless of wealth or education, without these two essential components, one is the equivalent of a savage. So as I was reading that to you, I'm thinking, okay, I know I could cut some of this out. I don't know. Rainsford learned while living on, he's in fact lived the life. I don't know. I might look at that and yeah, I think it's necessary, but I feel like it could be a little shorter, but it's a summary and it supports my idea, okay? So the other thesis I worked with is that he begs the question, when is killing and violence acceptable and when is it unethical, okay? So here is my summary, but it's also supporting my thesis, okay? It's a different summary because I want it to support what I'm trying to say, okay? So here's my thesis. I've got my genre and my title, author, okay? He tells a story of a world-renowned hunter named Sanger Rainsford whose experiences challenge him to question his ethical ideals. As Rainsford travels toward the Amazon River to hunt jaguar, he falls off his yacht and finds himself stranded on a mysterious island where he meets General Zaroff, another accomplished, passionate hunter. Over a meal of filet mignon, Rainsford learns that the general, bored with hunting animals, discovers a more challenging quarry, one that has courage. So I use the same, same bit from the other one. Rainsford considers this to be murder, and this brings up the question, when is killing and violence acceptable and when is it unethical? Richard Connell begs this question as he explores the ethical perspectives around hunting, so the references to war and survival, okay? So I'm using those so you can see how my summaries support my thesis. It's not just a random summary. Okay, so hopefully that helps you a little bit with your introduction. So I know Sophie had asked, how did I put it together? So that's how. Okay, so the first thing was I really had to be solid with my thesis statement, right? That I had really good examples. And then I had to create a summary that kind of wove some of those ideas in. So I've got title, author, genre, my little summary, and my thesis, okay? So hopefully this helps you. Please let me know if you have questions, and I will be back with the body of the body paragraph. Okay.